And people say, "Oh, you want to be on my podcast?" Kinda sounds cool.
It does sound cool, and like it helps a lot of other people. It helps the other person as well. Often they need some content, or they want.
Where is this going to be at?
All the places.
So
all the places. So it'll get cut up. Hopefully, we'll cut some stuff up into short form. So that'll be Instagram, TikTok, and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got YouTube. So because these longer forms, it'll be the first time we've done YouTube Shorts, but this will be the first time we move stuff into YouTube in a full form. And then we'll also put the audio and video on Spotify and all that kind of stuff.
What's the name of it?
I think the working title is Why I Started.
Oh, why I started. Okay.
So we want to know that's why you're here.
Great.
Because I'm interested in people who are performing at a high level of whatever they do, and I think one of the key determining factors to how people do well is that they actually enjoy what they do, and there's a big why to why they started.
Yeah.
As I start talking to more people in longevity, there's always a story of why someone owns a clinic or why they got treatment.
Sure.
And I felt like obviously me and you have known each other for a year now, and I think. And I only feel like I know a tiny bit about your story, and also the people that come into the gym.
Okay.
And like people like JJ.
Yeah.
So you know, we're rolling now. We're here. We're talking.
Right
I think that's a good transition to get us started. I mean,
Perfect.
We're talking a little bit off camera about this stuff, and but maybe we start there, like how your origin story.
Okay. So, do you want to focus on jiu-jitsu?
Anywhere you want to go, man. Like, no, because the thing is, like, we're talking to entrepreneurs. You know, we're talking to, and we're talking to athletes, and you kind of both of those.
Well, back when I was 6, no, I'm joking. It's funny you say this, or you're asking about this, because I was thinking about this the other day. I used to mow lawns when I was really young. We lived in a town called Stoneham, Massachusetts, and the reason I was thinking about this is my mom used to make this poster board signs for me, or we would do it together, but of course she led. I was really young, and she used to put my school picture on the poster board sign, and then put these on like lamp posts and stop signs around Stoneham, Massachusetts. And I was thinking to myself, you could never do that nowadays. You put your child's picture, like, this is my child. This is a picture of my child. You know, call them to mow your lawn. You know, some idiot's gonna call. You know what I mean?
No, that's cool. I liked it.
But yeah, so mowed lawns. You know, did all that stuff. Mowed lawns, had a paper route, all that kind of stuff. But really, around high school, college, I realized I didn't really want to work for anybody else, and that was the catalyst to me deciding. I think I worked for Hollister for 1 month, and they wanted me.
You had the look.
Yeah, they wanted me to be a manager, but I remember folding clothes and putting them out on the counter, and then someone would just come by, like, look at the shirt, and just like set it back down all unfolded. You know, it's like, and when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm not going to last very long here.
I always try and fold it up, and they sort of see me. And
I do too. Yeah.
Like
yeah. I feel like it's like the right thing to do, fold it up.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah.
But I didn't work in that type of retail, so I was like, how does this work?
Yeah.
So that was is that the eureka moment that you think you had to?
Yeah, that was one of them. I was like, I just don't want to. I mean, now I have. I mean, ever since then, when I started businesses, you know, they start, they stop, all this kind of stuff. So I had to go. When I was in college, I went to a school in Michigan, and I started a furniture and mattress business in Las Vegas my senior year. And throughout college, I was in like network marketing. I sold this thing called prepaid legal. It was cool. Like,
people like get a lot of value from those things, and I think it gets a bit of a shady name. I had a discussion with a friend about this the other day. He's like, dude, it's legit. It's all good. It's not pyramids. I was like, okay, educate me. And I think there's a lot of good people who learn good sales from that and good techniques, but it's like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pyramid. It's a pyramid, but everything's a pyramid. Like, you have a CEO.
Yeah.
Here I am going, like, you know, countering the objection, you know. But it's true. You have a CEO, you have executives, you have blah, 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 employees, and so on and so forth. So everything's a pyramid, but that's true. You know, in college, I would go to these conferences, and they would talk about other people's money, other people's ideas, other people's efforts, and all this kind of stuff, and how to get wealthy. And the stuff that I learned there, and like how to read people and shake their hand properly, look them in the eye, wasn't taught in college. Like, that was really my real education. So I met some people that had a furniture mattress business, started that in Vegas, moved out to Vegas, shut that down like 2-3 times. In between that, I used to, I was a bellman at the Golden Nugget, drove limos and all this kind of stuff. And that was pretty cool. But I saw people like, you know, 60, 50, like just standing there being a bellman also. I'm like, I got to figure something out.
But you also see the people's cars you're picking up or the people you're driving. Like, man, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Mine was like, my uncle was is a builder. He's a labourer. And so when I was like 13, 14. He probably done probably the worst labor he's ever had. But like, when I was like 13, 14, trying to make some money, and we were helping this guy renovate a house, and I'm sweeping, and he comes up in a brand new BMW 3 Series soft top of the time, like the two. I guess it's like late 90s, early 2000s or something. I'm like, what does he do?
Right.
We're doing this house for him, and he owns that. I was like, that's when something clicked in me when I was like, okay, I don't want to just. I want to be on the other side somehow.
Absolutely.
What does that look like?
I was the worst limo driver in the sense that I would always ask the people what they did. I'd go pick them up from the VIPs, right? So you go pick up VIPs, and they're sitting in the back seat, and I would always just talk to them about what they did.
You'd be a TikTok star now if you did that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah. Should have had a camera back then. But that was like what I was curious about. Like, what did you do to make money? What did you do to make money? And just so many different ways to do it. But so started the mattress business, and then got into jiu-jitsu in 2009.
How old were you then?
I was 32.
Okay.
I was 30, 32. I just got divorced. In Vegas. I got married, divorced. I was totally out of shape, and I was like, I got to do something. So I didn't want to get punched and kicked. I liked the UFC. I liked the idea of grappling, so I went and did a jiu-jitsu class. And at the time, I weighed 270 pounds. And the instructor put me against this kid that maybe was like 150 pounds soaking wet. And he tapped me out, endless amount of times in that 5-minute round. And I remember looking at the ceiling at the lights. I'm like, whatever this is, I'm in 100%.
Well, I think you have one of two, because obviously I've been doing it now for a year maybe, and I think I've seen people go in and out of the gym, and so there's the people like us that lay there and go, I'm in, and then there's the people go, I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm fucking out.
Totally. Yeah, it's very transient. There's a lot. I mean, people that stick with it, there's a bond that happens with people that stick with it because it's like you kind of know.
It's brothers in arms, brothers and sisters in arms.
Exactly. Sure. It's like the entrepreneurial world. It's like if you've had a successful business, it was not easy. You grinded. So, So I started. So I did jiu-jitsu a year later. Came out to Austin, opened up my first gym. Kind of giving you like real fast cliff notes. We can talk detail later, but opened up the first gym in Austin, and then 2 years later opened Georgetown. And then we had a gym in Temple with a partner. He bought us out. That was great. And then we still have that one still going in Liberty Hill, and those partners bought us out. We recently sold our Austin location, so now I just have Georgetown. And then along the way, I got into e-commerce. We sell stuff on third-party websites like Amazon, Walmart.com. We did eBay. It's not too popular. And then our own website.
Yeah.
So that's kind of. And then, like you said, I just bought my first rental property yesterday. I think it was yesterday.
Yeah. I saw it on the social. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I knew you talked to me about wanting to do that next, or the beginning of what that's going to become in the future.
Totally. So I was just in Thailand. It was funny. I have a buddy in Thailand, and he's in the online world, affiliate world, all this kind of stuff. And he said something so true. He's like, people in real estate want to be in the e-com or the internet world. And the people in the internet world want to diversify with real estate, So, So I just want to diversify, multiple streams of income, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah. So let's wind back a bit because there's so many good things we could double tap in on that. So
take this off here.
Yeah, you go. So you started jiu-jitsu like everyone does at the bottom, and then you said you were in, but then it would have been a second before you then started a gym probably. So what was happening? It was a second.
There? Yeah. So
it would have taken a bit.
Work
your way up through the.
Well, when I started, so my parents were missionaries, and I think something inside me always wanted to help people. And so when I told you I used to weigh 270 pounds my first year in jiu-jitsu, and I was eating right. Once I started jiu-jitsu, I was like, shit, like this is a great way to get in shape. And so once I started getting in shape, I started eating better. I lift in the morning, and I'd train at night. And I dropped 65 pounds my first year. And it totally changed my life. I mean, confidence. I'd just been divorced, so like talking to females, it just totally changed my life. And so I wanted to give people the same opportunity I had. And that was really the catalyst for, the catalyst for wanting to start my own gym. But I was just a blue belt, which is like the first rank. Yeah. And I had no idea how to start a gym. I had a black belt, a friend, Nivaldo Oliveira, who was supposed to be the black belt, but he was in Hawaii training with BJ Penn. He was on like a visitor visa, and he goes to Japan to compete in IBJJF. Well, on the way back, they stop him at the border because I guess he had overstayed his visa, and they deported him. Not deported him, but they sent him. They said you can't come in. He went back to Brazil, and that was it. So I started this gym thinking I had this like badass black belt, going to be an instructor, and didn't happen.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What did you do then?
So
You just coach.
I just had to do it. Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
a blue belt. I had no idea. I mean, looking back, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing, but I was teaching. I was running the gym. I mean, when I talk about running the gym, I was answering the calls. I was signing people up. I was teaching kids and adults. I was managing the kickboxing people, the Muay Thai. I was doing it all. I honestly don't know how I did it, but it was fun.
Yeah, I think one of the themes that comes out talking to entrepreneurs is how much that ignorance helps us.
Yeah,
Just get on with it and just figure
just
it
do
out.
it.
Just do it. Like, yeah, and it's that, and not many people can just do that. Like, they're like, well, I'm not a black belt yet, or I'm, or whatever. Like, I
Yeah.
can't do that. I don't have staff to help me. It's like,
Yeah.
I think, there's this like, I'll just do it.
Yeah. Analysis paralysis kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And that was kind of with me with the real estate. It was like, man, I know I should be doing this, but it's like, what am I doing? Really, like, how do I get into this? And then finally found like a good avenue and just like pulled the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have a buddy, Sasha, you may have met him one time or not, but he trains in Austin and he has like 3 rental properties. And he's like, once you get your first one under your belt, you're going to just want to do it over and over. And I already feel that. I'm like,
Oh, really?
I want to see 2 months of income come in because I want to see like how this is all going to play. I just signed it 2 days ago or a day ago. So I want to see how this all plays out. But once, if it all plays out how I think it's going to play out, then I'm just going to try and buy as many as I can.
So I know a lot of people do that in Airbnb. So is it like going to be like an Airbnb rent, or is it going to be like just a family home type thing?
So Airbnb was something I had looked into. No, there's renters already in there, long-term renters. Airbnb is great. I mean, people make money on Airbnb. Now there's like this thing online like Airbnb is dead. I don't believe all that stuff. Yeah. It's harder, maybe because saturation and people thought they were going to make a lot of money during the pandemic or post-pandemic because everyone starts traveling again. But I don't really want another business right now. I have a lot of opportunity in the businesses I have. And I look at it as I just bought a business. Like I just put a down payment on the home. I have someone managing it, and that's basically it. I have someone managing it. There's renters already in it. So I just put money into a business that I can oversee and not manage.
Yeah, totally.
I just read this book on vacation, Who Not How.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a simple concept. It's basically find people to do what you want to have done. Don't try and figure out how to do it yourself. Like who not how. And simple concept, but I've really just kind of been like trying to embody that rather than doing everything myself.
Yeah, I think in the early days, you have to just do it all yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because you also learn a lot. Like,
Yes.
you learn probably by answering the calls what kind of person and what temperament would answer the phones better.
Totally,
Whatever,
totally.
right? So,
Yeah.
but like, when you get to a certain level, it's about the delegation. Because
Yes.
I'm involved in a coaching thing as well called Action Coach, just to help me keep me honest and make sure I'm building strategy. And one of the things is about, they have like a pyramid. Well, they have like they have a set of like objectives in a business about having financial literacy and so on and so forth. And near the top is making sure that you're not working in the business, but on the business. And that's that.
Such a catchphrase, but it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's certain like bits of the business that you love, like training, and I love designing things in my business. And I think we're always going to have a hand in that because that's why we do what we do.
Yeah.
But it's making sure you start to delegate sooner than you think.
Yeah. Yeah. It's easy when you have money to delegate. Like when you first start, you're broke. You don't have anything. You're just trying to get this thing going. Like when I first started my e-com business, I would have like my apartment was just full of boxes. My fiance now, but she'd walk in, it's like, amazed trying to get to like the bathroom or the bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
But those times I learned so much about how to prep product, how to, send product into the fulfillment centers.
Mm-hmm.
And I could have definitely, that is one of my like, let's say faults. I go until the very end. I'm about to burst, then I'll delegate versus like starting early to delegate.
You think that's a fault?
I feel a fault in the sense that I should learn how to delegate sooner, maybe. But I just feel like I won't know if the person I'm delegating to is doing a good job or not because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
That makes sense.
It makes sense, but it's like how do people get to that upper echelon without having true relinquish of control?
Mm-hmm. What, like how do you relinquish control sooner as you scale?
How do you relinquish control sooner as you scale? And as you are bigger, like let's say like a Black Rock. I mean, we're not going to be a Black Rock necessarily, but Schwartzman or whatever his name is doesn't know what so and so is doing on the 3rd floor or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just managing the manager at a very, very high level. And that's a lot of trust because you are ultimately responsible for whatever that person on the 3rd floor does.
Yeah.
So it's just a mental block that I think I got to get over. But
I think in these, we're all in an early stage compared to a Black Rock or whatever, right?
Sure.
But like, I guess like people have such little impact on the business. Someone can mess up, and it doesn't really matter. At this stage, it does. Like if someone's a bad representative to one of the gyms, it's going to potentially have a much bigger effect than it ordinarily would. And yeah, I think for me, it's about having good people around you, and you do. That's what I've noticed about your gym.
Yeah,
you know,
that's one thing we're really proud about is the just in terms of like the vibe of our gym.
Yes.
You know, it's a martial arts gym, so people can feel. We all feel maybe a little intimidated when we first walk in there. So, customer service, having a smile on your face, treating people nice, being nice. You know, you'd be surprised at the horror stories. Maybe you wouldn't at the horror stories that you hear of other people going to their other gyms and the experience they have. You know, the tough guy kind of mentality. You need a little bit of that for that edge, but in general, you want to have a welcoming environment. Or in or in your e-com business or whatever, it's like customer service, the front facing. You know, you want to make sure that their emails and their the tone of their emails and what they're saying is nice and is good.
So the e-commerce sites, you own all of them today.
Yeah.
And that's you tell us. You tell us.
Yeah. So the e-commerce. So I started selling on. So when I had my gym, we sell equipment, and I was like, well, I'm buying all this equipment from manufacturers. Why don't I start my own like Jiu-Jitsu kimono brand? Or, you know, why don't I import boxing gloves from Pakistan or whatever, you know, and higher margin. And so, you know, most of the stuff that I've done, I've learned from courses that I bought online.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I bought this course, shout out Startup Bros. And basically the advertisement was, we'll show you how to import product from China. And I was like, all right, this is kind of what I want to do. So from there, and I learned a lot of good stuff, and it was great. But from there, I kind of graduated into eventually helping brands get on Amazon or Walmart.com.
Yeah.
So
it's tough.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't know, you can really screw it up.
Yeah.
And once you screw it up, especially on Amazon, they don't care that your account is blocked. Your EIN is like blocked on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I felt a lot of brands get on Amazon who have eventually then taken it over, which is fine, or
that consultancy thing you've
or
done?
have hired me as a consultant. Well, originally I contacted them and I would take their products and put it online. I'd be like their Amazon arm, for example.
Yeah. So these are all people who are producing Jiu-Jitsu gis.
Yeah, yeah. Like
or
Gameness. Gameness is a brand I helped. King's Kimono is a brand I helped. Yokao is a brand I helped. There's a lot.
So did you just have to build relationships with? Because I know Pakistan does a lot of textiles or like stuff like that. So are you just building it directly with the factories or using something like Alibaba or?
Well, these are already established brands, so I didn't have to make anything myself at this stage of the game. But when I should say from that part. But when I did try and create I had a brand called Lone Star Gis, and it was like double entendre. It was like Lone Star, we're in Texas, but also like the Lone Star. When you're in jiu-jitsu, you're the lone star. When you win a match, you're the only one person on first place. So it's kind of double entendre. But I tried it. I sold it. I was actually when I first started, it was like me and another guy on Amazon were like 1 and 2 on listings. So I was selling quite a bit. Now there's a plethora of people on there selling stuff for like $40. It's hard to compete. I think they own the manufacturing facility. I can't imagine them getting margins any other way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that's why you have to build a strong brand then.
Yes. Yeah. And that's what's great about Amazon is the traffic is there. You just got to put a good product on there. So, but from there, I went to more of like a wholesaling model, and that's kind of what I was speaking of before, where I would contact brands, I would ask for their catalog under the guise of my gym actually, because it was all sporting brands, and then from there I would just start ordering product, and we still do that. So.
So you're doing it through, have you got your own e-commerce site like a Magento or Shopify? You do Shopify. And then you use, I can't think what one of those tools is called, that aggregates it across the other platforms.
Yeah, so Yeah, there's some tools now. It's pretty seamless. They kind of like have their own tool that integrates, but like a multi-channel.
Yeah, there was one I used to, because that's where so when I quit the full-time job, I was doing design and stuff here and there, because I've been an entrepreneur from a young age as well.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I wasn't mowing lawns and stuff, but I was selling my toys, and then I was
Sure.
doing like t-shirt. I had a t-shirt company,
Oh,
and
cool.
we printed t-shirts, and skateboards
Uh-huh.
t-shirts. What was I going with that? But like, but when I actually quit the full-time job, when I'm like 23, that's all I did was build e-commerce sites for people,
Oh, yeah.
and work with affiliate marketers.
Okay. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, so I cut
yeah.
my teeth in that world for
Yeah.
sure.
The software that I use, they're actually here out of Austin or Cedar Park, called Geek Seller. I don't use them anymore, but
Yeah.
yeah, you basically
Linworks or Lingworks. That's what it was called.
okay.
And so that's what we used to plug into the bigger e-commerce sites like Magento and things like that, and then aggregate it to eBay or Amazon or whatever.
Right.
And keep all of the stock levels in order, because that's important.
Yeah, that's the main thing, is keeping the stock levers.
Yeah. That's cool, man. So there's the e-commerce sites, there's gyms, and
Yeah.
you're going to keep building gyms and selling them, or are you just going to like, this is the new season?
Yeah, I think it's a new season. So like I just came back from Thailand, and we have an opportunity to onshore some of their production here in America. So that's what I'm working on now. We're going to form. This is all kind of like nothing's in stone, nothing's signed, but it's just conversation right now. We're going to form another company. No more gyms. It was cool. I love it, and I love the gym I have. Like I sold my Austin location. It had boxing, Muay Thai, kids and adults, Jiu-Jitsu, MMA. A lot of moving parts. Totally fine. The business runs smooth, and the person that bought the business is doing well, and I'm happy for her. Nothing wrong with it. The Jiu-Jitsu, the Georgetown location is just easier. There's one discipline. We have I have a great business partner in JJ, and then Miranda as well, who does a great job over there managing the location basically, and that's great. And I love helping people, and I love having that. But e-commerce and this other thing is more like the breadwinner, and where I'm going to put more of my effort into in terms of. And you don't have to put a bunch of effort into to the gym anymore. Except for coming up with new programs, like we just started the mastery program on Wednesday nights for new people, but yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So one subject matter I'd love to touch on is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
because it's such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you want to go with it really, but like I mean, to me, I'm fascinated by it and hooked.
Yeah,
but like, and it's
addicting.
It's addicting, and like, and as you know, like I've got a family and a business, and and it's just frustrating that I can't be there as much as I want to be and stuff. And but almost that's part of the art of it in a way. Is mental fortitude and resist and keep going.
Yeah.
But I think there's so much synergy between entrepreneurship and jiu-jitsu, and I think it's like my daughter's just started coming as well, and there's so much I want people to be able to learn about. Not necessarily how to, armbar someone, but like the takeaways of jiu-jitsu.
Absolutely. Children and adults, we both kind of experience that same feeling of like, in jiu-jitsu is like you're getting smashed or you're getting submitted or whatever, and it's like taking that loss and then starting back over, or high five, knucklehead, great job, let's do it again, and problem solving as well, so. That person hit me in an arm bar or a choke from this position. What did I do wrong here? Self-analyze, and then come back and try not to let that person do it again, and improve, and so on and so forth.
But I think that maybe for me and you, like the neural pathways of what that meant were already kind of there, as in failure.
Yeah.
And a win, and how you behave even in a win, and perseverance. And then it was okay. This is going to only channel those neural pathways to what failure should feel like and moving forward at all times. But to a lot of people, I feel like they've never known what it feels like to fail. They don't know what it means to just be shit constantly. That's why, that's like so valuable.
Totally true. And, it's interesting you say that, because the people that come in with let's say entrepreneurial mentality, or people that have, I don't want to say rough life, but just have that mentality, do well. The people that come in privileged or I'll say like people that come in that are like feel like they're already like the tough guy, they never last. It's like the person that kind of is like humble, enjoys it. The neural pathways are like, are like firing, like, oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Yeah.
People, you hear it's like human chess,
Yeah.
right? So that enjoyment along with the physical fitness and the release you get, because it's true, we're here in beautiful downtown. Oh, it's overcast now, but
Yeah.
it's still beautiful.
It's still cool to see.
Yeah. Beautiful downtown Austin. But then, like, if you drive home at a rush hour, then if you come home to your wife and your children, more stress, more problems, potentially, maybe you come home, it's a great day. But I mean, let's just talk about that kind of a day. But if you're able to go to jiu-jitsu in between or right after, whatever, you go to jiu-jitsu in between, you get that energy out. You get that release. You're calmer.
Yeah.
You go home calmer, you're a better person for it. For kids, I used to say it's not about your child's not going to learn how. It's not about your child learning how to be like a tough person, go and armbar people. It's about the ability for them to use their words in a stressful situation. Because we've all been in a situation, maybe especially in business, where we felt maybe a little intimidated or not. We're not the smartest guy in the room, whatever the case may be. We're feeling a little intimidated, but to be able to use our words in that situation, it's the kind of same thing as being in the room. When you're doing jiu-jitsu, you're a little intimidated, but you have to think clearly and be able to pull the technique out to be able to have success.
Yeah. I bought my daughter Jessica because sometimes she'll really want to do something but freak out or freak out at like a B. I'm like, chill. Maybe you don't want it on you, but it's not going to be that bad. And I said, she needs jiu-jitsu. She needs jiu-jitsu. and she needs, it's about, and I've been there when there's a big guy and squashing me.
Sure.
And it's about regulate your breathing, relax.
Exactly.
Set yourself, think about what you're going to do. I like the intentionality. I'm trying to be more and more intentional with my jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But go, okay, this sucks right now, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's figure it out. And that's where entrepreneurship is. It's being in a sucky place and be like, okay.
Yep.
And just try and keep yourself calm.
Yeah.
And make smart decisions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're talking about getting smashed. Sometimes when people get smashed, they freak out. It's like we've it doesn't happen very often, but there's times where we've had to like actually they're not tapping, but they're having like an emotional something in their chest, scared. But to work through that in a safe environment, through self-defense, I think is a great outlet.
Yeah, it is, yeah. No, yeah, Jessie, she did really well the first time. The next time, she started freaking out a little bit, and the coaches were amazing. And
Great.
I had to go to the dad and just to show that I was doing my support, but it's the coach's job. Like, hey, you got this. You're great. Listen to the team. They're going to help you out. And it is nice, although you're a lone star, it is a team. It feels like a team.
Absolutely.
I told you about that book I read, 5 Rules for White Belts. And I need to go back and read it again. There were so many good points in it. I feel like I wanted to bring up points in it in this talk as well, so I can't remember too many of them now. But it was about how we're tools for each other. We're there for each other. Like, I'm not there. Like, there'd be times when I know I could just smash this person, but I let myself get in a bit of trouble, so I can do something more intelligent and help them develop their game, and vice versa. More people do that for me than I do that for them. But like,
for now.
But like, it feels like that's beautiful as well. That's beautiful. Like, I think in entrepreneurship, a lot of the people we're having here we're talking about. They're good people I've met over the last 5 years in Austin, and we've never sold anything to each other. We're just trying to add value to each other and introduce to each other and make good, meaningful connections with other people. And jiu-jitsu is about that. It's about being a tool for each other to get better wherever you're at.
Absolutely.
And it's an ego killer for people who need that.
Yeah. Some of the best friends I've made is through jiu-jitsu, and you get along. I mean, when you're training with each other, and they're submitting you, you're submitting them. You kind of see how they react, and some people don't react so well, and that's not really the kind of people I want to be friends with necessarily. I want to surround myself with good people. But then there's some people that are like, or let's say they submit me, and I say, man, that was awesome. I'm like, oh, thanks. I've just been working. You know what I mean? It's not like, I know I did. It's not like ego or anything like that. It's just like good times, good times where we're trying to submit each other at the same time.
Yeah, I had one like that where I knew I'd messed up, and then he sent me and say, and he said, "Oh, I've never had you like that before." I was like, "No, I did that," and I stopped myself. I went, "No, you did great. That was awesome."
Exactly.
Like I was just because I was already in my head still, so I was about to say my excuse of why he got me. I was
Yes.
like, doesn't matter.
Yes.
Like, no, that was awesome, man. Congrats,
Yes.
that's awesome. You did
That's
awesome.
so true. Or like sometimes people will submit. I mean, it's very. I kind of nip that in the bud, but like sometimes people will submit another person. They'll stand up and they'll like cheer. Like finally, I got someone. It's like cool, but kind of like relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Or-
and that's again in the entrepreneurial journey. It's like you've got to celebrate the wins.
Totally.
But it's not like you can't have these extreme highs, extreme lows. You've got to kind of stay fairly
Yeah.
level-headed on where you're at in the journey and enjoy the journey.
Yeah. There's a message that I like plan, do, review.
Okay.
And business and jiu-jitsu. Like when I was a white belt, I had this training partner, great guy, James. He had a big belly, and whenever he passed my guard, he would just smash me. And I'm like, man, if I could just prevent him from passing my guard, I would do okay. So I would plan it on the way to. I'd drive to jiu-jitsu class. Took me about 20 minutes, and I was like, what am I gonna do today? What am I gonna do? So every day I would like plan something. I try it and I review it. Plan, do, review, and then eventually, he couldn't pass my guard, and I felt my game like creasing as him kind of didn't crease as fast or whatever. But just that ability to not freak out, plan, do, review, accept it, review it, come back and do better is everywhere, business and personal life.
Yeah, business is a book called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries,
Yeah,
which is very much about having a hypothesis about what you're going to try, test it, and do it. And,
Sure.
and then there's also, just with business planning, creating a 90-day plan, and then there's obviously detail within that's the day-to-day and the note-taking, but you fail to plan to fail.
Right.
Yeah, but I've been trying to be more intentional with my jiu-jitsu in that respect. Like when I'm going, I'll just try and breathe, because I'll be coming off work, I'll be driving from here. And then going, right, I got to get down, come on, get him down there, quickly get home, get changed. And I'm like, I'm in a really crazy headspace and shifting gears. And I'm like, okay, think about it. Just go in, enjoy yourself. What are you going to try today? What are you going to just try and get better at that side control? Try and get better at this or whatever. Like, just if that's one thing you're going to do today. And then I also bought a notebook, which is a jiu-jitsu notebook.
Yeah.
And so it has who trained you, the date. It has what did you do today? What were the 5-6 steps that it takes to do that? And dude, I fell a little bit behind, like 2 days behind. It's like, shit, what do we do? How do we do that? Put your head where? And then there's also a thing that says, like, what did you find hard? What did you find easy? What was the aha moment? And they're often the ones that help me the most. Because I often say it to you, like, oh, the aha moment was like, I don't know, like, don't let go of that sleeve or whatever, right? Yeah. And then it was like, also, where's your pain? Mine's usually here in my elbow. Right. And like, how was your sleep? How was your diet? And it's just about being more intentional into each role. And I think business is good for that too.
Let me ask you a question. What is your opinion on business plans?
Yeah.
Because I'm having to write a business plan now. I've done this once before, but really all the business I've ever started, I just did it.
Yeah.
I had an idea, and I just went through the steps that I thought were necessary to do the plan.
Yeah.
I'd never, and when I first started the gym, there's this girl, Janelle. She said, well, what's your vision for the, what's your 5-year vision, 10-year vision? I'm like, to stay open, I like to keep going and stay open. But now I'm having to create a business plan for this next venture with the company, with the business partners. And I could do it. But it's like, I feel almost like it's a fraud thing.
Yep.
What's your take on this?
I can see why people think that. A business plan shouldn't be a big, thick Bible that, like, it never changes, right? So there's a few, like, quick ones that are, like, immediately help you start to get the thing going. One is called the Business Model Canvas, which is just a one-page business plan.
Right.
And it talks about the fundamental pieces that make a business, like supply or like who are your partners and stuff like that, and it just helps you sort of put it in a bit better format. Then there's a drilled in part to that which talks about the customer base and the value prop. And so it's basically the relationship between your customers' problems and the values proposition you have, which is the services you offer and things like that. So it's what's the customer's pains, what are the gains the customer gets from using this, and what are the jobs they have to do. Because usually, like, are you helping them do their jobs faster? You make them look good in front of their boss. So sometimes people don't understand the value prop. Sometimes
that makes sense.
Then there's actual business planning that gets a bit deeper, and I think this is pretty powerful. But I think The 5-year plan I use more for you don't know what's going to happen. Like
That's my point.
So and financial stuff tends to be bullshit. But 1 or 2 years of financial planning can be pretty accurate, and it gives you an idea about what some of those other income streams you'd like to bring in. I'm dyslexic, so like this sort of stuff, like I was like, it just doesn't resonate with me. But when I realized that this is just a story I'm telling myself of what I'm going to do, then it kind of got exciting and it made sense to me. So I think the 5-year plan is more for like the lifestyle you want to create for you and your partner, and where you want to, maybe how you want to feel about how you spend your time and stuff like that. It's a bit more conceptual. So the business planning, though, I would do a financial projection, like with.
But that's the part. I get that story part. I think you got to have that. And I think that's easy, and that's not the fraud part I'm talking about. I guess and it's not fraud. Maybe that's too strong a word, but the financial projections.
Yeah.
Like, for example, let's say, I asked the manufacturer, what's the capacity? They said, we want a capacity that can do 2,200 of these units a month.
Yeah.
And in my brain, it's like 2,200 is a lot for what we're talking about. You could times that by X, 10 or 20, 100, whatever your number is for your business. And then it's like, well, what if you just don't get there? What if you're doing well, but you don't get to that business plan? Are you a failure?
No.
Well, are you a failure in the sights of those that that believed in you to get to this imaginary number that, you know what I'm saying? Where I'm going with this?
But the thing is, like, reality never ever marries up, does it, with what actually happens? But like, I guess you'd say.
So then why not inflate it as best you can so that you can get the money that you need?
Yeah, you have to tell. Like, especially with VCs and stuff, you have to tell a story that's compelling. Like, if you don't if you were going to raise venture capital, you can't say, "Oh, our market's 100 million." They're like, "What? Is that all?" Like, no, they want 2 or 3 billion because they know you're only going to get a percent of a percent of a percent.
Mm-hmm.
Someone showed me an open door deck recently and said, "This is a great deck," and it was super high level, and it just said, "Oh, we're going to like transform this whole thing." It's like it was a really big reach of what they said we're going to do. But like, again, the first 2 or 3 years, like the volumes you want to try and sell and when price breaks come in, because when you buy more, it's going to get cheaper. So it gives you an opportunity to put in different like variables that you'd like to see.
Mm-hmm.
Like, like if it's how much the subscription, and over time we're going to add more services, so we're going to up the subscription at this point and sort of give you an idea. But you're not going to have all the tech right now. You're not going to have all the variety right now. So you could also demonstrate that it's scaling, and it also makes you look smarter, that you've thought about the variables that do come up.
So at the end, in your history and your experience of people you've talked to, you've never had the experience where someone says, let's say our goal was 2,200 units a month, but it's year one and you're only doing 500 units a month, which is a little bit more of a realistic number. You never had those investors come back to you and say, "You're doing great, but we had this expectation based on your business plan that you were going to do 2,200 per month."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that's what I thought. Well, that's what I thought, but the reality is, we're tapped out at 500.
Yeah.
And then what? Then what happens? What's that next conversation from them?
Well, it depends on what stage of investment. Like, again, like you're doing a financial plan, probably 5 years to get the investment in the first place and say, this is what we think we can do. But obviously, the first couple of years depends on X, Y, Z falling into place, right? And so we think we're going to be able to achieve 1,000 or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. But it turns out to be 500. Like, maybe that's in your head, like, maybe it's more like 500. But I think if this and this happened, I could do 1,000. That's possible that I could do that. And it does make it look a bit more compelling, because you might have to go back to the numbers and go, okay, I can't claim that I can do that, but I could make money in this way, and this way, and this way, which makes the whole thing look more interesting. So it makes you think about that. But then also, like, it's once you've got the money, that goes out the window, because now it's like, you probably start executing on the next 6 to 12 months, but you'd probably do 90-day plans every quarter, and then when you get to later stages, Series A or what like that, then you've got a financial director that's in, and they're projecting.
Is it better to promise in this stage?
Overpromise,
but then deal with the potential disappointment of not meeting it when you have that investor call? Or is it better to underpromise and have that investor call saying,
the investor
hey,
wants, okay, so let's say it's like the investor don't want to do it themselves. They want to deploy capital, so they want to find people who've got good ideas about big problems that they can solve, and they can give you the money, and you can make everybody more money, and they couldn't do that. So if you're going to say to them, you want to show that you're the smartest person that's thought about this in more detail than anyone else, and you see an opportunity and a way to market like nobody else, And if you say, well, the units are going to be this, which in mine a little bit lower than I'd like to see, but I've just done this enough times now to see how this works. This is going to how it's play out. Then you look like the straight talker who knows better than everyone else, and it's going to help them put them on the straight and narrow. So it's more about that.
Even if it's
of a
under
narrative.
what they thought that they wanted to.
Where have they got that idea from?
That's the point. It's like, where did you get that idea?
Well, they don't know. You're the expert. That's what you got to say to them. Like, dude, I'm the expert in this. That's why I'm here. That's why because these people don't know how to build tech companies or they have to build e-commerce
but these
sites.
people have like some sort of an ego understanding sometimes. You know,
They
they're
do.
like, right? It's like, well, I did this, and so this is what I think we could do.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's why VC is a numbers game because you get so many no's. But like, yeah, like at the end of the day, like, yeah, you want to be like ambitious. You don't want to be pessimistic, but like, but you know, yeah, like you're the expert. So if you're saying, hey, it's going to take, this is why, you know, people, imagine if the people that pitched Uber and said, oh, we're not going to make money for, or Amazon, we're not going to make money for 10 years. So, sorry, what?
Yeah.
You know, just keep plowing money in, and in 10 years, it'd be crazy.
Yeah.
How many people said no? There's usually an anti-portfolio on a lot of investors' websites, which is the stuff they turn down.
Oh, interesting.
There was one that was Bessemer Ventures out of New York. They've invested in some of the biggest stuff in the world, and they've got an anti-portfolio, and in there is Apple. They passed on Apple.
Oh, wow.
So, like, VCs know they're going to pass on stuff that was going to do amazing. But I think the psychology is that you are the subject matter expert. And if and the operator, so if they want to put their money into something that's going to make money through that, then that's how. If they've got a better idea, then tell me.
Yeah.
What am I missing?
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just been thinking about that recently.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting though. It's hard, man, because you get as a founder as well. You get especially when you're shopping stuff around, you get feedback paralysis. It's like they said this and they said something completely different. And this versus this, and so at the end of the day, you have to have a conviction in what you're saying and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Is what it is. But a business plan, I think, can be really enjoyable, but it shouldn't be locked in. That's what you're saying. It's like,
that's what I feel.
It's not locked in.
Yeah.
And if someone thinks that, they're talking shit. Because like this is everything I know today. Based on this is how we're going to spend the money. But you might go, you know what? Things have changed. We're actually going to do this, and that's up to you. You're the owner of the company.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes me feel a little better.
Oh, good. It's turned into a counselling session. No, I feel it. Like I talk to people about this sort of stuff.
Well, I just don't want to be. I want to nurture relationships.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have a relationship start where I'm over-promising, under-delivering.
Yeah.
You know, or I'd rather the other way around. But at the same token, you need money, or you need that opportunity.
You could show two different examples. You could show one and say, look, I think this is pretty much how it's going to go. But there's an option B where we do get to where I think you think we can get, but we need to add 3 more distribution channels to do that.
Yeah.
And so to get distribution channels, we need to do X, Y, and Z.
No, that's
hire this
interesting.
person and something like that. So there's ways sometimes around. Like when I was coming up with some ideas before, with other things I work on, I was like, those numbers aren't big enough. They're rookie numbers. Like no one's going to invest in this. So what's wrong? You know, and then I was able to think of more creative ideas to make money in other ways beyond just software licensing or something like that. So sometimes you can do things like that, and that's where creativity comes from.
Yeah. Okay.
When you're in a little pickle.
Which we've all been in the entrepreneur journey.
That's cool, man. Man, I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man.
For sure.
We should
Thank
do
you.
it over whiskey next time.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, we still need to go out sometime.
I'm waiting.
Yeah. Not.
Did you
we're
find
the
one?
babysitters.
Yeah. No, it's tough.
We're close.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, when you do it, figure it out. Let me know.
We'll do it. Cool, man. Thanks so much for your time.
For sure, man.
Later.
I appreciate it.